TheBlaze Radio Network. On demand.
Hello, it's Stu. On today's podcast, we have a terrible, tragic story.
Sad. Really sad.
As Glenn said, it's really sad. He said
tragic.
Sad and very sad. Tragic story of a 21-year-old millennial who's working as a marketing intern. How does she live her life on only $25 an hour and the lengths she has to go to stay healthy and happy? It's almost impossible. Would you agree with that, Glenn?
Well, I mean, her times of struggle on the yacht in the Hamptons is sad. Very sad.
Very sad. The yacht on the Hamptons makes everything very sad. We have an update on ESPN and how they seem to be moving towards MS ESPN. That's coming up. How the shopping mall is going away and is kind of becoming a blessing to the suburbs in kind of a weird way. And the New York Daily News is fired half of its staff. It's lost $90 million. This is what the media business is. And if you've been on Twitter at all, you've seen every journalist, good and bad, complaining about how terrible this is. And no one seems to ever pause and think about what has made the public not care about their coverage. Why don't they just buy these things? Is it always the owner's fault?
Glenn Beck.
But Stu, let's talk about things that really matter. Can we do that? I mean, this whole lot of yada yada. Okay, I get it. You know, Israel's under attack, whatever.
Seems minor in comparison to whatever you're going to bring up next.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
The Money Diaries are tracking the real strife in America. And they're asking people to tell us how you fighting through it. How you fighting through it?
Difficult times. I mean, in this economy, with really record low unemployment, difficult times.
Especially if you're living in, a big city and you're a millennial female. How are you making it? You want to talk about sweatshops. So
we're already in The Handmaid's Tale.
Well,
it's already a reality.
Don't need to say that. We know that.
And I don't know how you make it when you're a millennial today.
Okay, so here is what the Money Diaries do: is they ask people to track how they spend their money, tracking every dollar,
and it's seemingly like every little event in their life, every minute,
every dollar for a 7-day period. So they followed a marketing intern. She's 21 years old. She lives in New York City, and she lives on $25 an hour.
Oh, my gosh. $25 an hour?
Now, imagine, that salary going in New York City. You're not living.
You're not. Yeah, I mean, $25 an hour. By the way, the average salary hourly salary right now is about $25 an hour, which is pretty incredible when you think about that nationwide. In New York, though, it's below
New York,
average.
it's bad. So weekly, she pulls in $747. Plus $100 to $120 every 1 or 2 weeks from babysitting. She also, has other income.
Okay. What other jobs does she do?
It's no big deal. Her parents give her $800 a month in allowance. And her grandfather also wires her $300 every month.
That's nice.
Yeah. She lives in a 1-bedroom, 1-den apartment. Total rent, though, is $4,000. Her share is $2,100. So you can see that money is gone. Well, actually, that money's not gone because her parents are paying her share of the rent.
Oh, so her rent is what's the total dollars?
She pays $0.
$0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Her roommate that lives in the den pays $1,900. But her parents pay for.
But her share of, just to be clear, her share of the rent is $0.
$0.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But she also has student loans.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, those can add up fast. I have relatives who have been still 10 years into their career and they're still paying them off.
Actually, her parents are paying for that. So she doesn't have any. She has student loans in her name, but her parents have taken care of that.
So her share of the student loan payment
is $0.
$0.
Yeah, $0.
Okay.
Now she has a movie pass for $9.95 a month. She has that.
And who's paying for that?
Huh?
Who's paying for that?
She's paying for that.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. She also gets 1 Brazilian sugaring a month.
I don't know.
I don't
I'm fully know what that is, but I don't really want to Google it either.
I don't want to ask. She has the bronze pass, so she's not going for the silver or gold. She's going for the bronze.
Oh my gosh,
that's $40.76 a month. Then she has her Equinox pass, so she can work out. That's $2. That's $210. Then she has a phone bill. Phone bills are well.
They can get really pricey though, Glenn. You know, some of these with data plans and everything else. When you're a millennial, you're using your phone all the time.
I was going to say that she's not paying for her phone. Her parents are paying for the phone.
So her share for the phone is
right. But then she has
0.
entertainment. You know, she has to pay for Netflix and Spotify and Amazon. And,
well, I mean, there's multiple accounts. I mean, you know, $10, $20, $30, $40 a month.
Except her parents are paying for that. So her parents.
Her share for those things would be
0.
Okay.
0. Okay. So here's day one. Here's how she's spent her money. Just day one. 7:35 a.m. By the way, we're going to have her on TV tonight. You don't want to miss this. 5 o'clock. Anyway, 7:35. My alarm goes off for work. It's the day after the 4th of July, and I'm beat from drinking all day. I also had a panic attack last night, and I'm still feeling a little off. Thankfully, my boyfriend slept over and helped calm me down.
That's great.
It's great. So she's got companionship, and you know, she is, you know, she's woman enough to say, I spent all day drinking. That's how, you know, you celebrate independence that way. 8:06, I meditate. Good for her. And then she packs up workout clothes in her briefcase. For breakfast, I make the classic avocado toast with feta cheese and a hard-boiled egg.
I mean, can you play into the stereotype anymore? Avocado toast.
At 8:57 a.m., being that everyone had the day off yesterday, I think it'll be okay getting in to work a couple of minutes late. Okay, so she's an intern. And she's like, I can get in late.
And that's because she's not feeling well because of all the drinking.
Yeah, well, she had to stop by Whole Foods to pick up a bottle of cold brew to keep at the office. She said that's the easiest way to, you know, not spend too much for coffee. And it was $6.99. So, you know, she had to stop at Whole Foods.
The most expensive grocery store in America.
Yeah, okay. 11:26 a.m., I spent most of my morning working on a small project. Then online shopping and journaling.
So is she still at work?
Yeah, she's at work.
Because this is the first thing you said about her day, and she's including online shopping?
Yeah, 11:26. Okay. She says, a perk of being an intern is that I don't get too much work assigned, but I do find myself bored occasionally.
Oh, okay.
12:30 p.m., check the Albert app I downloaded last month. It's supposed to smart save for you by tracking how much you make and spend. So far, I've saved $113 to pay for my Equinox membership next month. It's sick. It also reminds me that I spent $55 on coffee last month, but that's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad. It really isn't. It's $55 on coffee in New York, especially if you're going to Whole Foods for it. Not bad.
So 12:35, she decides to go to the cafeteria in the building for lunch. She gets a soup and salad. She takes her lunch outside, thankfully, because it's not too hot outside.
She hasn't done anything yet, though, right, at work?
Well, no,
she worked at a small project.
She worked on a small project. She did online shopping.
She online shopped, and then she went on an app about saving money for her gym membership.
Please do not try to downplay the struggle of this millennial.
Mm-hmm.
At 1:05 p.m., she says, I sit around and do nothing until 3 when there's a meeting. 3:30.
Wait. 1 to 3 is what now?
Just sit around.
There's not even shopping involved. It's just 1 to 3 is sit around and do nothing
until 3. 3:30, quick break.
From what?
From doing nothing. She's got to have a break.
So is she doing something now? If she took a break from nothing, is she doing something?
She said, I'm eating an apple and I'm going to drink some green tea. I brought the apple from home and I make the green tea in the office pantry. I hit a wall at this time every day. You know,
wall from what? She just spent 2 hours doing nothing. And now she's...
you are...
I mean, the fact that she's...
Okay, Grandpa, I used to walk to work both ways uphill. I got it.
I mean, she's eating an apple. That is more than she's been doing for the last 2 hours.
Okay, so she had a 3 p.m. meeting. It either didn't happen at 3 p.m. or it only lasted a half an hour because she had to take a quick break from that meeting. At 4:42, she says, I'm finally done with all of my meetings. My boss is going out of town for 2 weeks and has left me with a bunch of little tasks to take care of while she's away. 5:01, I leave every day at 5 o'clock on the dot.
What a surprise.
Yeah, right.
She's not late. She's not staying after to do more online shopping?
No.
No.
And she doesn't, it doesn't matter if she's there, a little late in the morning. but I leave at 5 o'clock on the dot.
And by the way, 5 o'clock on the dot, didn't she say it was 5:01?
Yes. I don't mind because I get to go work out and enjoy my afternoons every day. I also get to work from home tomorrow, so it basically feels like Friday. Now, I don't know. So does that mean she's going to be doing her online shopping from home?
And doing nothing at home?
Doing nothing. She'll make her tea, and she'll do nothing, and then she'll do some shopping. Oh, and her breaks. She'll do that all from home.
Wow.
5:45. I attend my new class at Equinox. It's called The Muse. It's a mix between bar, dance, and Pilates. The instructor has some technical difficulties getting the music set up, but the class is awesome. Even though it's way out of my comfort zone, my booty is on fire. 7 p.m.
Wait, what was that, Glenn?
My booty is on fire.
Was that part of the story, or were you just saying that?
No, I was just saying that, yeah. Okay. 7 p.m. I spend the rest of my afternoon packing for my Hamptons trip this weekend.
Wait.
What?
She's going to the Hamptons?
Yeah.
Like the most exclusive place on the East Coast to summer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, now remember, she said I get to work from home and it feels like Friday, inferring it is Thursday. Okay.
That's what I'm getting, yeah.
The next day is Friday. It's Thursday.
So when she's working from home, she's actually going to the Hamptons.
She's going to the Hamptons. She said, I prepare dinner with just some random findings. During the school year, I cook a meal in my apartment. It feels so nice to cook for myself. I whip up whole wheat pasta with vodka sauce, roasted carrots and tomatoes, and a veggie burger. So random, yet so yummy. I don't think I can handle more of this poverty tale.
This is a struggle.
11:36. I call it a night earlier than I have in weeks. I'm so excited to sleep alone in my bed.
Okay,
all right.
Here's a random occurrence. I'm alone for once.
Okay. Day 2, 9 a.m. My alarm goes off. 9 a.m. My alarm goes off.
Nice. That's 10 hours of sleep there.
Just want to see. Yeah, she went to bed 11:36. Okay, 9 a.m. I finished packing for the weekend. Wait, what? I thought you were supposed to go to work. I thought you were going to work from home the next day. She's at 9 a.m. She gets up. She said, I quickly switch on my laptop to see if I have any emails. Per usual, I don't.
I wonder why. Why are people reaching out with important requests and tasks in the office?
I finish packing up for the weekend, head over to my boyfriend since we're getting breakfast together before we leave. I call Lyft because I can't carry my purse and my weekend bag and my briefcase for a 20-minute walk.
Impossible.
How does she do it? 11:33. We're doomed, by the way. If you haven't thought that yet, we're doomed. 11:33. After working out for a bit at my boyfriend's place, I don't even want to know what that is. We head over to the local juice bar for is it acai bowls and smoothies?
Oh,
acai bowls. We had originally agreed on going to a diner, but boyfriend got up early to go to the gym, and he feels like eating healthy today. I don't complain because he pays for his smoothie and my bowl.
Of course. Of course.
So at 12:15 now, she's got to walk. Well, it gets dicey from there. I don't know. We're gonna have this young lady on today at 5 o'clock, and you want to talk about poverty? What is it like to be a millennial, 21 years old, and just trying to eke out a living? And just trying to make ends meet in New York City. This marketing intern in New York City, it's horrible. It's horrible what we've just...
So far, it's a really tragic story. I can't imagine it gets worse, though.
Oh, it does. By day 3, literal starvation is happening. And just
literal? Is that the right word? Literal starvation?
Literal starvation. Yes, she's literally starving.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. So
this does get really... This is a dark tale. We probably should
Oh, my gosh. This ends in a doctor's visit.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she ends having to see a doctor on this.
How much does she pay for health insurance? I don't remember. What was the number?
Mom and Dad pay for health insurance.
So her share of that was...
0. Yeah. She doesn't pay for her house. Mom and Dad pay for that. She doesn't pay for the phone or Netflix or Amazon or student loans. Mom and Dad pay for all of that. And she's on insurance for Mom and Dad as well. But we last left her on her way on a Friday afternoon to the Hamptons. with some friends, and we've got to pick it up now. Warning, it is not for the weak. Constitution, it's really not.
Glenn Beck.
I went to a mall a couple weeks ago with my wife. I haven't been to a mall in a long time, and boy, it has changed. And this was one of the nicer malls here in Texas, and things are going well in Texas. But all these stores were just closed. I read an article that Barney's, Saks Fifth Avenue, across from Rockefeller Center, Saks Fifth Avenue. This is the the original Gimbel's store. From Miracle on 34th Street. That was the Gimbel's headquarters, and now it's Saks Fifth Avenue. They're talking now about selling it, tearing it down, and making it into office space. All of these big, huge department stores, that's a thing of the past. What is the plan for these giant malls that are sitting empty all across the country? We wanted to bring on Nolan Gray. He is a Young Voices advocate. He's a contributor for marketurbanism.com. He is a young guy who is a city planner and a guy who is a libertarian. And he just received last week the Young Voices Award at Freedom Fest in Las Vegas. It's a new award from Reason Magazine that goes to libertarian policy writers who work actively to translate ideas into actual results that are free market ideas. Welcome to the program, Nolan. How are you?
I'm great, Glenn. Thanks so much for having me.
So, first of all, congratulations on the award.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, you are a city planner, which
That's right.
a libertarian city planner is almost an oxymoron, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Well, I went into the admissions office and I told them, find me the most libertarian thing to study. And they told me city planning. No, I just became interested in it as something that has a huge impact on the places that we live. It's an area of policy that, for obvious reasons, has mostly been neglected by people who care about freedom and liberty.
Yeah.
And so it just seemed like a place to have a really big impact.
So what is your opinion of Houston? Houston is the only city in America that's left without city planners, I believe, or at least it used to be. And it seems to be doing fine. Why do we need all of this city planning?
Yeah, right. Houston's fascinating. They're the only major U.S. city to not have zoning, which is where cities break up parts of the city into different districts for certain uses or certain densities. So they don't have any of that. They're actually the only city that voted on zoning, and they voted it down 3 times. Every other city sort of quietly adopted it through administrative means.
And is it failing in any way?
Well, if you look at the population growth numbers, revealed preferences, right? It's not failing. Tons of people are moving to Houston.
And people who live there love it. They love it.
Yeah, right. Like any city, it has its challenges, right?
Yeah.
Like traffic.
Sure.
But, relative to cities that are much more heavily planned, it's not entirely obvious what Houston is missing in a lot of respects.
So what is the city of tomorrow look like, especially with the malls? And do you agree that Saks Fifth Avenue and Macy's and Lord and Taylor, I think, just went out of New York City, but you have huge traditions and swaths of property that are these giant department stores. Are they gone?
Yeah, well, we're talking about hundreds of acres of urban land, in many cases in prime, sort of locations. Most cities don't have a plan, so all sorts of different things are really happening with it. My hometown of mall sat empty for about a decade and then turned into a megachurch. In a lot of cases, they're being redeveloped as office space, more housing, so new apartments or new little single-family homes. Most cities don't really have a plan. And they've sort of locked in this mall zoning where the only thing that really can be developed on those lots are new malls. And where there's just no demand for that, it's not entirely clear what can happen in the policy status quo.
So if I'm not mistaken, you would know better than I do, but I believe the first mall in America was in Rochester, New York. And it was in the 50s or 60s. And mainly because it's freaking freezing in Rochester. And nobody wanted to go, down the streets. Minneapolis is very much the same. What happens to those cities where I'm not walking down the street in Phoenix, Arizona in the summer, and I'm not walking down the street, in Rochester in the winter?
Mm-hmm.
Malls of America, do they play a role because of the weather?
That's a good point. I always heard that they'd kind of gotten their start in Minnesota. So I think that's probably a pretty similar story. Nobody wants to walk around 6 months in Minnesota.
Right.
What's going to happen? I think there's always going to be some malls. They're not going to completely disappear. I think that most of the mid-size and smaller malls are probably going to disappear. You're really only going to have the huge ones where, like the malls of America, they're probably going to be fine. But they're almost tourist destinations, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid growing up in Kentucky, people would come to the local mid-sized city and go to the mid-sized mall. That's probably all done. Those people are just going to go, one state over to a mega mall in a place like Nashville or a place like Indianapolis. So those huge malls are going to be fine. I mean, what are you going to do in a place like Phoenix? I think probably most of the retail corridors are going to retool around what's called experiential retail. So they've got to be experiences that you can't get through Amazon. If I want to buy anything for the lowest price, I'm just going to do it on Amazon now.
So like what's experiential?
It might be like a spa or like a bar with a lot of different options for beers. Or it might be maybe if you're buying a custom or personalized item. This could be, for example, apparel stores that are much more concerned with helping you find maybe specific clothes or specific sizes that you really need an expert consultant on. And so you can kind of see, a lot of the big box stores are sort of scrambling to go in this direction where they're trying to have more customer service. And traditionally they've understood this. You walk into, I was going to say H.H. Gregg, but they already disappeared. You walk into a Best Buy, right? And like 4 people rush over to try to help you.
So
that's their advantage over Amazon.
Here in Texas, there are these little towns that are sprouting up. They're just like Main Street, and they have urban housing and apartments and restaurants and shops, and they're just little towns. And it's very much like my childhood when I was growing up before the malls hit. Are millennials starting to go back into that direction?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the new sort of things you're seeing is called lifestyle centers, where it's a mixture. It's not just retail. And the original vision for the mall was not just retail. The original vision for the mall was we're going to have community spaces, maybe churches. We're going to have some apartments. This is going to be a place where people live and they work, and then they come for, social events. But in practice, what the mall became was much more just exclusively retail, maybe with a food court. And so I think probably what you're going to see is a return to that, where you have these sort of retail centers that are trying to mimic the traditional Main Street.
Yeah.
Maybe, professional offices, some retail, some apartments, things of that nature.
Yeah. Nolan, it's great to talk to you, and we need more libertarians in all walks of life, but certainly with city planning that can help us remain free and tamp down some of the insane ideas and regulations from some city planners. Nolan, thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thanks so much, Glenn.
You bet. You can follow him at mnolangray.com.
Glenn Beck.
I want to give you this story about a new theory. Now, this started at the Flat Earth Society Forum, but it's not just flat earthers. And I want to talk to somebody who believes this. If you believe in Australia, you're sadly mistaken, because it doesn't exist. Everything you have ever heard about it was made up. Any pictures of it you've seen, faked by the government. If you've talked to people on the internet that claim to be from Australia, they're actually government agents who are surfing the internet to enforce these false beliefs that Australia exists. Do you know, if we lost technology and we lost civilization, do you know how fast people would start to believe stuff like this? Were you ever in Australia? They were making all of that up to cover up for crimes. You weren't there. Do you know anybody who was there? In one generation, it's over. I mean, we are back to this.
But there's people living there.
It wouldn't be over for them. It would be over. Oh, I see what you're doing. You trapped me into believing that there were people in Australia because there is a.
Yes, that's what I did.
I'm just saying, for the people like over here, people in any place where you're a ways away from people. Imagine how. Look at what we think about medicine now, and how it's killing us, and how capitalism is killing us, and airplanes are evil because of what they did to the sky. Imagine that kind of philosophy, this nihilistic postmodernism, if it took over. You wouldn't be able to restore civilization for a while, and by the time you got back, what would be lost would be incredible.
It's true.
We'd go back to the Stone Age. I really think so.
People will believe anything these days.
Anything.
So when people take off and they go on a vacation to Australia, are they flying them to? Is it like a rendition situation? They're flying them to another area, and they're just calling it Australia. Like, what's happening?
Okay, so Australians,
yes,
are all actors or computer-generated personas. Now, Australia isn't real. This is according to the lead, quote, scientist on this.
Mm-hmm.
Australia is not real. It's a hoax made for us to believe that Britain moved their criminals to someplace. In reality, all of these criminals were loaded off of the ships into the water, drowning before they could ever see land again. And it's a cover-up for one of the greatest crimes of mass murder in history, made by one of the most prominent empires, England.
But people in that era did all sorts of really terrible things that we know about. So why would
not this one? This one's really bad.
They created for criminals, not even innocent people. Criminals.
How are you going to back out of the whole kangaroo doesn't exist thing? You're not. They're too deep.
So now they're just covering.
England is too deep into it,
but
and the Western world is going on.
I've seen kangaroos.
No, you think you have. I think, you know what? I've seen Abraham Lincoln at Disney. No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
That's true. It's not really Abraham Lincoln at Disney.
It's Abraham Lincoln. Mm-hmm. Australia does not exist. All the things that you can call proof are well-fabricated lies and documents made by leading governments of the world. Your Australian friends, they are computer-generated. The plane pilots are in on this in secret. And when you say, I want to go to Melbourne, they don't fly you to Melbourne, Australia, because it doesn't exist. Or Sydney. They fly you to islands that are very nearby, or in some cases, parts of South America, where they have cleared a space where everybody pretends to be Australian. So we don't know where, but we do know, continental-wise, we do know that it's in South America. This fake Australia. Now, I've seen parts of it. I will tell you.
You've seen parts of the fake Australia?
I've seen parts of the fake Australia.
Where
you're like, wait a minute, this isn't Australia. It's called the Outback. If you've been to an Outback Steakhouse,
that's an Australian embassy, right? The Outback Steakhouse?
Yeah, I think so. Australia, one of the biggest hoaxes ever created. I think it's probably the biggest.
Yeah, if you've created a continent.
Yeah, I think it would be.
You get number one on a giant hoax list.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I guess the moon landing, though. Is the moon real, or did we just not go to it? Do you know the details of that?
If what?
Is the moon real, or did we just fake our landing on it? Like, is the moon a real thing that we faked our landing on, or is the moon fake?
No, the moon's real.
Okay.
I mean, it's not what we think it is.
Is it cheese?
No, you weren't here last week. You've never seen the dark side of the moon. Okay, did you hear what happened on MSNBC last week?
Thankfully, no.
Okay, Sarah, do we have the MSNBC where they have the theory about Donald Trump? Now, remember, these are not conspiracy theorists. Okay, what'd you say, Sarah?
They're looking for it.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that MSNBC and CNN, all these guys, they hate conspiracy.
They hate them. They hate conspiracy theories.
So while you were on vacation, an article in the New York Magazine came out, and it was really well written and researched, and it said, this is probably not true, but if it were, it would be a very high impact event, and so we should consider the ramifications. Okay,
that sounds pretty scary.
It does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So they came out with the theory that Donald Trump is actually a Russian spy that went over in 1987 for the very first time and met with the Soviets, and they made him an operative and a sleeper. And then he came back, and you'll notice around the 80s is when he started becoming famous. So he's a government operative from Russia. Now, again, this isn't true. Well, it's most likely not true. It's low probability, but high impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were critical of your theories.
Yeah,
about
of course
potentially
they were. The caliphate.
Or that Barack Obama was a democratic socialist.
Yes.
You remember when that was an insult to the left?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that was insulting and a conspiracy theory, but this is not. Now, we delved a little further into it last week, and it brings me to the moon. The moon, the dark side of the moon, notice we've never seen it.
No, I guess we never have.
Exactly right. When did you first start hearing about Donald Trump?
I mean, mid to late 80s.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It goes a little further than the Soviets. Okay. You'll notice that you really don't hear about Donald Trump at all, until after Neil Armstrong lands on the moon. Now, this probably isn't true, but think of the impact if it were.
It's low probability, high impact event.
Huge, high impact. There are some that believe that Donald Trump is a space baby, that he is from the dark side of the moon.
Oh, no.
And he was out and about on the moon. And Neil Armstrong was like, what is this baby doing here? And they're like, shh, quiet, shh. And then we lost contact for a few minutes. And
well, have you heard the audio where they said, what's this baby doing here?
No,
I've never heard that audio.
No, of course not. They've taken that out and doctored all the images. And so then...
So Neil Armstrong on
Neil
the
Armstrong,
light side
what do you
of the
think
moon,
he's saying? What do you think he's saying? He's one small step. He's not taking one small step. He's not taking a little teeny. Those are baby steps. What do you think he's talking about? He's talking about baby Trump, the space baby. And this baby is from a master race on the other side of the moon, the dark side, which, if you look into it, it's completely dark. You don't see anything, right? If you look into the barrel of a cannon, wouldn't you think it looks pretty much the same?
Well, yeah, but why was it?
Because when this moon, again, probably not going to happen, but if it did, high impact, when the moon turns around at the space baby's command, we're actually looking into a giant barrel of a giant space cannon, and the moon is going to be shot out of that cannon at the Earth. Now, you think this is crazy, but answer me this, riddle me this, Batman. How come Donald Trump is the first one to be talking about a space force? Need I say more?
I mean, a little more, yeah.
Yeah.
This is what happens when I go on vacation.
No, I tell you something. This is what happens. This is what happens when you talk to people who still believe in Australia.
Glenn Beck.
Hey, welcome to, if you're in the Dallas or Texas area, welcome to the fires of hell. It's hot, and I think that's an understatement. It's hot. I've lived in Phoenix, and yeah, Phoenix is, there's nothing like 117. That's hot. That's hot. But the nice thing about Texas is it gets really, really super hot and humid.
It's not that humid. It's not been that bad.
It's not Houston humid.
No,
it's
like
not Houston
30% humidity, which is, not 0%.
Yes.
It's not the desert.
Right.
But it's a heck of a lot better than
Houston.
I'd much rather have this than, remember we went to, I think it was Charleston a few years ago.
Oh my gosh.
In the middle of the summer, and we walked around town. It was, from one of those tragic events, and we were walking around town, and we were meeting people, and we had it was really an incredible city, and the people there were incredible. The weather, I don't know how anyone dealt with it.
We walked around, and I had to go do a public event. We walked around because we got into town. We walked around, and we want to see what was going on. I had to stop at a store and buy a shirt because mine was sopping wet.
Sopping wet. I mean, you'd be outside for a minute and just dripping in sweat.
It's awful.
It was awful. I brought a towel. I stole a hand towel from the hotel, and I just brought it with me for the walk.
Yeah, I would rather have that. I'd rather have this than that.
Yes,
but I'd rather have Phoenix than this. It is hot as hell.
It is, but it's been a couple of weeks of it now.
Yeah, it's 110 now in Texas, and it's what was it? 113 in was it Waco yesterday?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw 113, highest temperature ever.
Death Valley hit 120 yesterday.
Now the rest of the country apparently is not suffering from this heat wave.
Now, there's certain areas. I read somewhere that something like 3/4 of the country has actually left the summer heat early this year.
Well, thanks. You shipped it down here. You shipped it down here. It's really hot down here. But, the amazing thing is, I read a story because Arizona is having a heat wave as well, and so is California. Now, California is a little different than Texas. And I would like to speak directly to those people who moved to Texas from California. Why did you move here? What brought you to Texas? Well, you might say, I didn't want to necessarily live in Texas, but my job took me here. Oh, your job took you here. How come your job didn't leave you in California? Is it maybe, perhaps, I don't know, because of regulation and taxes that you can't create jobs? Why is it that Texas is creating 50% of all jobs for the nation? 50% of all jobs for the nation created here. Why? Because it's still free. It's still free of regulation. It's still free of tax. It has unlimited energy. It's almost like living in America, not California. Now, here's why I bring this up connected to the heat. California having a power grid failure because they have a heat wave. So the California grid operator Monday issued an alert to homes and businesses that they need to start conserving electricity. And they're on now what's called a flex alert due to the high temperatures. Now, so what is a flex alert? Well, customers are asked now to reduce natural gas if you use natural gas. You're supposed to turn off the lights, at night. You don't need them during the day, but if you just keep them also off at night, you should be okay. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So use natural light during the day and then no light at night. It'll be like camping. You know what? It'll be like living in the prairie in the 1800s. It is so great when there's no electricity. It's fun. It's fun, especially in a heat wave. Now you have to ask yourself, California, why don't you have any electricity? Because Texas has a lot. We are growing like mad. We cannot keep up with the building of businesses and houses almost literally here in Texas. It's expanding so rapidly, and yet we're not having a problem with our power grid. Why is that? I remember. Because our power grid is free and unencumbered. We haven't made all kinds of laws and restrictions. So we have plenty of natural gas. We have plenty of wires going to everybody's houses. We have plenty of power plants that are making plenty of energy. Now, you could say, well, that does have a downside. I'm thinking, what could that downside be? Oh, that it is flex priced. So in other words, the more kilowatts that are used, the higher the demand, the higher the price. Yes, that is true at times like now. However, the price of electricity, and for anybody who is a big user of electricity in Texas, you can go in and pretty much tell the power companies, yeah, I'm not paying that. I'm not paying that. Because energy is so plentiful here that you can pretty much get it everywhere. It's kind of like, I'm sure, Marty, plutonium is easy to find in 1985. But it's kind of like that here.
Well, it's deregulated, too. I mean, so there's so many options and so many different places to go.
You have tons of options. So California, you refuse to make your own energy. You import all of your energy. Now, I don't know how you sleep at night. I really don't. Oh, we are so green. We're not going to build a power plant. No, you'll just build huge cables on the other side of your border, and you'll have somebody else burn all the coal so you can feel good about yourself while condemning coal plants. Your politicians are liars, and you're living a lie. And you know what? There's no sympathy, none, zero sympathy when you have a drought. Why? Why do you have a drought? You have a drought because you won't build any reservoirs. Oh, no, it'll disrupt the natural flow of things. Yeah, you mean all the rainwater that should be held, that could generate clean electricity, could also be used to plant and water crops so you have food. But instead, you just let it run right out into the ocean. And California is suggesting a few things. For instance, this handy tip, I didn't know this, but they have a handy tip that fans are good to circulate air.
The cold air. Yeah, but fans will blow the cold air around for you.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know what a fan was until they explained it to me like that.
Well, now, let me ask you a question. Do you have a monkey on a bicycle that's running that fan?
That is what most people in California.
Okay, good.
I guess
didn't know.
They buy them at the zoo and they bring them home.
Whoa! They don't have zoos in California, do they?
No, they have to go. They have to go to Nevada for that.
I mean, you're not a monkey keeper. You're not an owner of a monkey. You're a parent of a monkey, because monkeys are people too. Okay, we're talking California here. So I don't know how you power that fan of yours, but apparently fans. And the other safety tip, and I think this is good, is the beach is a great way to get away from the heat.
What?
Shut up.
Really?
No way. Wait a minute. You can just go to a beach?
It's amazing. Who would have thought that it was possible?
Why don't people just live on the beach?
I know.
They should just live right there by the ocean. There's got to be little towns along the ocean front. They should live there.
Well, global warming is coming, so people have all moved away from the water.
Yeah, that's right.
They're running away from the coastlines.
Yeah, the prices must be going through the floor.
Through the floor. No one wants to live near the water anymore because they know
crazy.
Those global warming. I was always amazed by this. It goes back to I think it was Inconvenient Book, and there's a picture of a map of Florida and where all the projected global warming floods are going to occur. Mm-hmm. And then a little helpful guide of all the celebrities' homes that they've bought in those zones. People who are saying global warming is this huge threat, but then keep buying homes in the flood zones they say are coming. Well, if you really believe the flood zones are right around the corner, why on earth would you buy?
I can tell you why. Mm-hmm. I can tell you why. Back when I was growing up, we were afraid of the Russians.
Yes.
Unlike today.
No, we all love them.
Yeah, we love them now. So we were afraid of the Russians, and we were afraid 12 to 18 minutes, and you were dead.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I remember we were talking about, where do you want to be? I mean, do you want to be in a fallout shelter, or do you want to be at ground zero? You want to be vaporized so you don't have to live through it? That's what these celebrities are thinking.
Oh, really?
They think, you know what? When it comes, I'm going to be the first online. I'm going to be the front. I'm going to be wiped out by the evil that is, because the earth is going to be so bad that I just don't want to live through it.
Wouldn't you instead buy the inland property that will soon be on the coastline?
No.
Because you could predict it in the future
No.
to the exact centimeter
No.
that the water's going to rise. So why not just purchase beautiful waterfront property?
You want to be forward thinking?
Yeah.
You start building beachfront homes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like in wherever, Omaha. You just start just this beautiful beach property right there in Omaha. And then just wait to rake the money in.
Glenn Beck.
The best of the Glenn Beck Program.
Glenn Beck.
The best of the Glenn Beck Program.